So my practicum is at Les Hills Elementary, and I am with like a reading intervention teacher, so I don't have a whole classroom. Neat. Like she pulls out into her class room.
Do you have the same students every time?
Yes. Okay. So my first group for 15 minutes is a group of 5th graders. There's 3 of them. Only 2 of them come normally. And what they were doing was they went over this sheet about hurricanes. Show Carol there. And she gave them highlighters and pencils, and their objectives were I can identify the main idea and I can understand what I read. So we went through and we read the questions on the back first.
Okay.
And then we went through here and we highlighted important information as we read. So she had like each student read a paragraph. We only made it through 3 paragraphs. And then we flipped it over and talked about the questions.
Sure, with 15 minutes you said?
In 15 minutes,
okay.
Yes. And they were very talkative.
Short time.
Right, very short time. And I basically only got to observe, and my case study student is one of these students, and I basically looked over what he was doing, and he had some really good reading strategies. Like, it was his idea to read the questions first, not even my teacher's. He, like, asked if they could do that.
That's neat.
And then went through, and then she told me that when I come back on Tuesday, they're going to go through this and talk about tornadoes, because we have tornadoes, and this is about hurricanes, which we don't have.
So creating some connection.
Right. So when I go back, she wants me and my case study student to talk about the tornadoes, which doesn't make much sense to me because she's going to be working with other students on the exact same thing. So I'm going to have to talk to her about that.
Why split it into?
Right. And so she gave me his like fast assessment results. So I need to talk to Carol about how to interpret these.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means.
Well, at least I know like the fall and the winter. So
Right.
He's taken it twice.
Right.
And it looks at the first one, he jumps totally.
Right.
93
Huge.
To 121.
Right.
That's
and she said his biggest problem is fluency. So I'm looking at activities to pull up with that with
read
him.
Naturally.
Right. That's what I was thinking about. So for my second group, it's a group of 2nd graders, and there's about 5 of them. So they went through kind of a couple paragraphs about fossils, which I guess they had read the day before, but she did not review it with them. And she gave them highlighters. They didn't know how to highlight, so they were highlighting the whole paper.
The whole paragraph, yeah.
And she was really mad at them. She was yelling at them for it. And she was like grabbing their hands and saying, no, stop, and no, stop, and no, stop. And I'm showing you to do this, you're not doing it. I'm showing you to do this, you're still not doing it. What don't you understand? I'm showing you to do this.
Yeah.
So I think they should have reviewed it.
Yeah.
They should have talked about how to use highlighters. They had no idea what paragraphs were. She said, go in the first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph. Well, do you even know what paragraphs are? No. Okay, this is a paragraph. So she really didn't. They had no idea what they were doing, and she got very frustrated with them. So I was frustrated because I could tell they had no idea what they were doing.
That'd have to be hard to switch automatically from 5th graders to 2nd graders.
Right.
And but still.
Right. So my teacher is a little harsh with the students, and sometimes I disagree with how she does things.
Doesn't quite fit your same.
Because she really like beats down on like their like morale.
Yeah.
Like they just feel stupid.
Yeah.
So I basically got to observe that one also.
Yeah.
And
so did the activities come from their classroom teacher then?
No.
Okay, so these are all her activities.
Right. And she, I think, decides what she wants to do kind of the day of. Because other than this, all I've seen those 2nd graders work on are blends, like beginning sound blends, end sound blends. And they read a paragraph about, like, Groundhog Day on Groundhog Day, and that's all I've seen them do. So this is my first time seeing them read, but I didn't even get to see them read it because she didn't review, because I guess they had read it the day before.
Okay.
So they were looking through it for the answers to 2 questions, and they couldn't find the answers. They didn't understand what she wanted, and it was just really an unorganized process. And I struggle a little bit in my practicum because
that doesn't fit what you know, or even how
right,
you do
or what we
things.
talk about in class at all, almost ever. So I'm struggling a little bit with it, but Tuesday, I get to work with my case study student the whole time.
That'll be
Yes.
nice. Yeah.
Yes. It'll be my first time with
Do you
just
only get him
me
for the
and him.
15 minutes though?
Yes.
That'll be tough too.
I know.
That's
Especially
not
if she wants me to cover some of her stuff as well. So Tuesday is going to be interesting when I get to work with him alone for the first time.
Yeah. And even like the first time you meet with a student, it's such like character building.
Right, and
like,
we've done the
gotta-
interest inventory.
Okay.
But that's all our alone
Right.
time has been. So
Okay, so you kind of have the relationship
Mhm.
started.
He's
then.
really talkative. So I'm not worried about. He's really open and talkative, and he keeps telling me, "Oh, are you coming back? Are you coming back?
That
I'm so
helps.
excited! I can't wait to work with you." So
That's awesome.
yes, I'm
That's-
not
I mean,
scared
the-
about it. It should be fun.
You won't have to develop the motivation aspect
Right,
of it.
exactly.
Or the,
Exactly, and he's excited to read. He likes reading, so he
That's
just
good.
has issues with fluency.
yeah, hopefully we will help him somehow.
Yeah, hopefully.
Differently than she does anyways.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe be more of a motivator now.
Yeah. So mine's a little different because I'm in a classroom.
Okay.
5th grade at Morningside Elementary,
Okay.
which I'd never been.
I haven't been there yet.
Before. It's kind of nice. It's a nice school. So it's very different for me because I'm used to middle school settings.
Oh, okay.
And going into elementary, I think that's where some of my hesitation has come from, or even just
Huge
I'm
difference.
baffled sometimes at what they're doing in the classroom. Like, students will go up to her and ask, in the middle of her giving directions, like, ask to go to the bathroom or
Mhm.
whatever. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, no wonder I have problems with middle school students
Right.
getting up in the middle because you let them do it here. But anyways, they have been working on biographies.
Okay.
They read, they got to choose a person to research, and so from the library they would get books, and then they even spent some time on a computer too, getting to do research. And now they're taking what they've learned and putting it into a research paper, into a 5-paragraph essay,
Ooh.
kind of. Yeah, and it's been really interesting. She really has it set up nice for students. She had, they taped together like 5 different pieces of paper. So there were like 3 in a row, and that was their like body part.
Mhm.
And then there were ones that folded up, and that was the introduction, and one that folded down.
Okay.
And that was their conclusion. So it was like really laid out nice for
Yeah.
them in that sense.
It's a nice physical representation of how it needs to
Exactly.
look.
Of how their paper is going to lay out. And then with those papers, then they're going to do a living museum later on this semester. So the students actually get to become whoever they researched.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So I loved the assignment and
Yeah.
everything. And it's really interesting to see them take what they read and put it into words, and into their words and how they write it.
What grade is it?
5th grade.
Okay.
So they should be able, most of them have the skills to do that.
Mhm.
I've seen a couple of the ELL students struggle a
Yeah,
little bit.
I bet.
But not so much that it's going to impact, how they present their project by any means.
Right.
More so, students that just don't want to do anything are the ones that are struggling with it. And so at least for this week, what I've been trying to do is kind of go around to those students and like set goals with them
Mhm.
and say, okay, I'll come back in 10 minutes. I'll look up at the clock and say 10 minutes, and what can you have done in 10 minutes? You got started on this, so let's keep going on it.
Right.
Or,
Keep them motivated.
yeah, try to keep them motivated and getting something done on it. Because they're supposed to have their like rough drafts of their paper done,
Mhm.
and a lot of the students hadn't even started. And so I don't know if that was like the students just not doing what they were supposed to,
Mhm.
or if it wasn't organized enough for them
Right.
from the teacher to student translation of it.
Well, and it's hard to know when you're not there every single day
Yeah,
what
it
goes
really
on when you're
is.
not there.
Yep. So, and yeah, I don't know what some of the students have been doing because they have absolutely nothing done.
Right.
And it's interesting too because some of them I can talk to
Mhm.
and they'll tell me all this stuff about their person, but then they won't write anything about their person.
Really.
And I'm like, okay, just write down what you told me. And they're like, what did I just tell you? It's like,
It
"You
just
did
doesn't
such a good
translate to the
job."
paper.
Yeah, so they can do it orally, but they can't do it, I don't don't know what the skill would be considered,
Like
but
like
they can't describe it out. Yeah, they can't write it out. And I think that's an interesting development in there. You know, we look at literacy as that reading, writing, speaking, listening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can speak it,
Right.
but they can't write it.
Right. They're obviously like forming the thought.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they want to say.
Yeah.
And they just can't translate it into
Right.
the written word.
So
Wow.
somehow that is not matching. I think that's really interesting. Just that.
I do too.
And it's nice. This is kind of the first reading practicum where I've seen more of the literacy development as far as writing and speaking and listening goes, because they'll watch a video every once in a while. So if they listen to a story or something that happened, and then they'll read about it, and then they'll write about it.
So you're seeing more than just the reading part?
And I love it. I really get to see at least 2 components, if not all 4 of those literacy components.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat to see that, because I think we learn so much that you have to develop all 4 parts. But then when we go into the classrooms, we're only there for such a limited amount of time,
Right.
that we only see such a limited part. But it's really neat that I've gotten to see all 4 parts being implemented into that one reading block.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah. And it's really, when I first went, so like 5 weeks ago, her reading block was more, we're just going to read. But now that I'm there, I don't know if it was because I came or why she went into it, but she's actually like broken up the reading block into 3 different sections now.
To cover all of that?
To cover all of those different sections.
That's cool.
So it's been really neat to see that. And hopefully those students, like when I go back, I'm hoping to see those students have gotten farther along with their writing. Let's see. Some of them some of them really loved who they were doing.
Right.
So that was really
And I think that's definitely a big motivator because it's interesting.
Right. I think the fact that they get to act out that character later on too really motivates some of them. But
Yeah,
then,
that's really fun.
yeah, then there's the other ones that
Like,
just,
oh, this sucks.
they don't have any will to do anything in the written testing.
Right.
And it's the ones that like right away I identified as, I don't want to say lazy, but just not, they don't have the skills to do anything. So they just didn't do it.
That sucks. It's hard to keep, make it interesting for them as well.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.